The Manitoban was on scene earlier today in the Fletcher Argy building at the Fort Garry campus to gather perspectives from students on their thoughts on UMSU. The University of Manitoba Students' Union, UMSU, will be having their annual general election from March 6th to March 7th. The following are all the recorded interviews that we obtained earlier today, and we even got the chance to interview the current UMSU president. So from March 6th to 7th, UMSU is having their general election. And so they announced this just recently, January 16th, there is an upcoming UMSU election. These people are elected. Some of them are even paid to represent you. So what would you like to see in your 2025-26 board of directors for UMSU?
Well, I would definitely like to see people who actually care about the students and who will make a change to our environment within the sense because there are a lot of kids with allergies like such as myself. I had to be taken away by ambulance last week due to an anaphylactic reaction in my classroom that was caused because someone left peanuts in there. So, what is the university going to do about that? Because if it's me now, who is it tomorrow? Who is it next week? Who is it that actually dies? That's the biggest fear. So we need people to represent us who actually care about us and care about the student body as a whole because honestly, it's quite scary going to school when you have issues like that and you can't do anything about it. Like, what are you supposed to do? Because you can't avoid the sense, you can't avoid people, and you can't stop people from eating because that's not right.
So if there's any other message that you want your potential future UMSU directors to hear,
Yeah, better coverage for the students, please, within our health benefits. That would be great. Cover the ambulance.
I guess my thoughts on UMSU are that I've been a student here for 7 years now, and I've never seen them really do much for actual students and create a good student environment for us. I'd love to see the board of directors actually engage with students, actually do things students want to do, help develop a community here on campus as opposed to just self-serving and helping themselves and the like. I know the club rooms got shut down basically, and those aren't seeming to come back, and I'd really like to see them come back. Things like that I'd really love to see UMSU engage with. Why do they need to get paid over $100,000 a year? I think it is for each executive, or at least $60K.
it's over 35,000. I don't know the exact amount, but it's over 35,000 for each executive. So they do get paid. The executive members do get paid.
I just, if they're getting paid that much money from my tuition, I want to know what's actually getting funded by it. I don't see good budgets coming out for them. I don't see projects that are actually helping us students. So I'd really love to see stuff like that from UMSU. Otherwise, I don't get why I have to continue supporting them. I don't get a choice in being an UMSU member. I'd love to leave UMSU because I don't see them doing things for me.
I'm sitting here with UMSU President Divya Sharma, and as you likely know, on January 16th at the UMSU Board of Directors meeting, they announced the dates of the UMSU election from March 6th to March 7th, and the nominations are starting on February 3rd. So we're here in the Fletcher Argy building from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., just gathering the thoughts and opinions of students on what do they think about UMSU and what would they like to see in their future board of directors. So I guess I'll pose the question to you. What are your thoughts on UMSU?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to do this initiative. I think it's always wonderful when students are engaged in a process like this. I'm also happy that students are engaged in respect to elections. I mean, they're one of the biggest, I think, events of the year that come up where students get to really voice their opinions. This year, particularly, I think, in terms of engagement, UMSU has been very, very engaged. If you look around the board table, we've had record amount of students attending our board meetings. There's been times in the 2024 year where we reached our fire code capacity of 75 students, and there's students lined up outside to come in and engage on topics. And I think that's what really student union politics is about, where we get to hear from the electorate and really take their ideas and voice those to whoever needs to listen to those ideas, whether it's the UM administration, the federal government, provincial government, municipal government even. And I think we've done some really great work in terms of moving the needle on specifically international student healthcare. I know we don't have the big promise delivered yet. It is in Mr. Cable's mandate, but we continue to push through those lobby efforts. We've also created an organization called Manitoba Students this year with the help of many student unions across Manitoba to really present a coalition that advocates for students not only at U of M but across the province. So I think those are just some big ticket things that we've done this year.
I would like to see an UMSU accountable amenable to the students. I would like to see them keeping in mind student needs, student concerns, being open and accessible. There's a big problem with transparency with UMSU board members not being open, not seeing students, not listening to students, trying to suppress student voices, trying to distance themselves as much as possible, and acting on behalf of the administration and not on behalf of the students, which is what the student union is here for.
And for context, just before you sat down, you told me that you have attended UMSU meetings before, correct?
Yes. This is my 5th year. I've been going for several years, going and sitting down at board meetings, listening to the inner workings of the UMSU Council. And as someone who has spoken, been a student at large, uh, had to go there to have my concerns met, concerns addressed, and still been brushed off, not considered, and felt as though our council members have, in large part, deferred not to listen to students. Not
Are there specific concerns that you're willing to share right now? No worries if not. But if there are specific examples, you're more than welcome to share if you would like.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, like the diminishment of, or the attempt to remove student voices being able to speak at UMSU meetings. I can also think about like topics around mental health, topics around like feminine hygiene products, topics around things that students need, students want to have addressed.
Well, I think the current student union is pretty good, but however, I would like for the new people that are coming in to advocate more for international students, especially like the benefits that we don't get considering we pay more. Like for example, when it comes to disability, the things that people would get to help them with their disability, that most of it is not accessible for international students. It's only as accessible for Canadian students. Like for example, how people with ADHD or anxiety get programs that can help them. Most international students can't get that, which is kind of absurd to me because we pay a lot more to come here, but none of the resources that could actually help us to learn are not accessible to us. So maybe advocating more for that so that it can actually change because it doesn't seem like it's changing. So far, that's what I have to say. Yeah.
And so, what are your thoughts on the union?
I think that in the last couple of years, we've seen a definite stagnation of the union and what it's done, what it can do. From a body that achieved the bartering of the UPass agreement to one that just barely does more than photo ops, I think it's been a bit sad to see that the only body on campus that is supposed to advocate for students isn't actually there for them. And a lot of the time, there are students, the large majority of the student population doesn't know even what the union is or what it can do. And that's something that students should know because it is an organization that's created to stand up to the university, to the government, to advocate for a better price of tuition, a freeze of tuition, student loans, different things like safety on campus, measures like that. So it would be really nice to see people running for the UMSU election that actually want to do more than just photo ops and talking about something in a brief Instagram post. People who actually seek to make real systemic change.
Yeah, I think there's some things like improving student life they could do a lot of work on. Like they got rid of club rooms during COVID, and in a sense have used that as an excuse not to bring them back. I know some people from the anime club started a petition. I think got hundreds of signatures within a couple of days, and they rejected it when it was brought to them. Also, stuff like fighting for more meaningful things, like the try to keep tuition down, and for example, upgrading the computer labs which are being shut down, and the ones that are there are so slow they're basically not operable.
Which one on campus? I guess there's one that's been shut down or that has been shut
I
down.
think one or two of the ones in the Elizabeth Defoe are no longer there since when I've started, and the one or two that remain, like the computers are so slow you can barely even use them. So more so focusing on meaningful improvements like better computers and like cheaper tuition, better student life. I feel like lots of the things they do don't really impact us that much. It's just very small things. So I definitely think there's definitely huge improvements that could be done there, especially since we're paying hundreds of dollars, in fees to be a part of a union that we don't even really have a choice to be a part of. Same thing with like the gym fee, which is also now a mandatory fee. That's everything that they could lobby on our behalf because some of us go to gyms off campus, right? So there's no reason for us to be paying that. So yeah, definitely I think there's a lot of reforms or changes needed of the student union to better represent us and be more beneficial for us, especially considering the money we're paying for them.
I mean, I think really highly of UMSU. I think they're doing a lot of really great things this year, and they've done pretty great things in the past, but especially this year. It could be because I'm a lot more involved on campus this year, so I see everything that is being done. And I think that's something that more students should do is go out there and see what the student union is doing. 'Cause at the end of the day, like you do pay fees towards it, so get out there and see what you're doing and get involved if you're interested.
So I've been a student since 2015, so I've seen lots of UMSU groups go in and out, and I've been through a lot of UMSU elections. And honestly, I feel like there's not a lot of accountability. I feel like they don't communicate as well as UMSU used to. I think that there's a lot of events that UMSU hosts that you don't really hear about unless we follow them on social media, and I think that's an accessibility issue. Additionally, I think I'm really disappointed in given all the security issues that we've had this school year, and how that's being communicated to students, and how they're not necessarily representing students in a really good way, and it just kind of seems like a launching pad for future political careers as opposed to the student union that actually supports students' rights.
The biggest thing I want to see from UMSU is honestly just more information about what they do. I've been here half a year. I know they pay student fees, and I've seen stuff like bus pass, but in terms of the decisions they're actually making and discussing, I don't have information about it, and I don't know where to get information about it.
I just think the tunnels should be unlocked because it is negative 30 degrees outside, and I am trapped in UCR, and I love going to UMSU. And whenever it's locked, I will not go anywhere, and you will never see my face on campus.
Which tunnels are locked sometimes?
The door to get out at Tier, past the art lab, there's 2 doors, and they're randomly locked at different days. They're differently locked, so you'll get trapped outside.
During regular business hours?
No, during night. I think you guys should open the tunnels at nighttime for my safety.
Can you confirm that you are an UMSU student? You're a member of the union, correct? Okay. So as a member of the union, what would you like to see from UMSU? What are your thoughts on UMSU? What message would you have for the future board of directors for this upcoming academic year?
I'd like to see more transparency, more involvement from the student body itself. I know recently they started restricting who could speak at their meetings, and I'd like to see that reversed because I believe it's important that we should be able to raise our voices and opinions at their meetings.
Yeah, I will clarify. There was a motion where originally you'd have to get 50 signatures in order to put a motion forward, as well as speaking time would have to be the board of director member would have to yield their speaking time for a member at large to speak. But I think that motion did get shot down. But are there any other inputs or thoughts on UMSU that you'd like to share?
I'd also like a bit more transparency on where exactly the money's going, because I've tried looking into it and it's not the most clear documentation of what it's going to, how it benefits us. I'd like to see that expanded on a bit more.
So perhaps more of a breakdown online. I will just state to our viewers online, if you want to look at perhaps the UMSU salary of some of these execs, as well as the specific breakdown, I will just to validate your claim that yes, I can confirm that not the breakdown of everything is posted online in the preliminary budget per se. So thank you, I appreciate it.
So I really love the initiative for having the small businesses and the creators being there. I love that. I think we should keep that. What I would like to see more of is more just social activities, something for the first year students who are new to the school and maybe don't know anyone who's here. Just more opportunity for kids to meet each other, but additionally I would really like to see more of a dedicated study space, because occasionally you'll see that the desks or the tables that are usually used for studying, they get moved for different events and stuff, and then we have nowhere to study. So I think it'd be really nice to have just alternate spaces for this.
Are these desks that they get moved for events, like you said? Are there you have specific examples on campus in specific localities, or?
Yeah, so it's right in UMSU, right by the help desk. You know how there's that little pit? So that occasionally it gets closed, and then all the tables are usually taken up by more senior students because they're quicker and they know what they're doing.
First of all, I didn't know that UMSU is. I thought it was only the building name. But now, after you explained to me what's UMSU, it made sense a bit. And second of all, I didn't know that we're paying almost $300. I don't think these $300 are doing well. We don't have much events, we don't have much connections. We need more in regarding of events and stuff.
And I will just state for the record, yes. So if you're an UMSU student, an undergraduate student, you will pay $273.80. That is the UMSU fee that is automatically added on to your tuition when you pay in Aurora. Thank you. Anything else you want to add?
I'm just looking for more connections and events. That's it. Yeah.
And can you confirm that you're both members of the union? You're both undergraduate students.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on UMSU?
We would like you to shovel more, please. There's so much snow all over.
It's really bad, specifically around the residencies. Yeah. Definitely.
Also, a lot of doors in the education building, specifically the architecture area, are broken, and it's sad.
And they've been broken for like over a month now, and there's just a no entry sign, and it's hard to get in.
Yeah.
I want more free food.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, I understand that UMSU does occasionally give out free food from time to time. And you'd like to see more?
Yep.
I don't know what they do exactly because they just like advertise themselves but don't advertise what their mandates are, what their goals are, what they're trying to do. They're just saying follow us, but I don't know what we're following exactly.
Yeah, I'm really sad to see that it's gone. It has been for a few years now, but there used to be a beer gardens in the quad every fall in orientation week. It was a great way to meet your new people when you're coming into school for the first time. It's a great social event, really brings community and brings the university together, and it's really sad to see those things kind of disappearing lately. And I'd like to see more, well, community gathering events like that in the future.
Most of my interactions with UMSU have been through the student clubs that they support. You know, the different associations, small clubs at the department level, at the faculty level, that they provide recognition for, that they provide funding for, and opportunities for outreach. So through those means, I have really good positive associations with UMSU. You know, I'm involved in some of the clubs that they give us funding for. But in other ways, I mean, gosh, when they're asking us to go jump through all these hoops for recognition to get that funding, I mean, it's a mess. You know, they set up a lot of barriers and then aren't prepared to give us the resources to cross those barriers, whether it's the sexual violence prevention training that they require for club executives, and then do not do a good job at providing that training, or the treasurer training that they failed to provide again this year. Other than that very specific context, I don't have a lot of thoughts on UMSU because I don't have a very good idea of their activities outside of that. And I think that's part of the problem, that there's not a lot of communication on what they're actually providing, like you said, with the tuition money that we're giving them to do these services. But ultimately, you know, UMSU has been around almost as long as the university has. They're absolutely essential to student life here. So I want to see them continue to do what they're doing, but do it a little better.
And can I ask, you'd mentioned that, I guess, UMSU, in your words, that they had failed to provide a treasurer training. Can you just elaborate like a bit more on that claim?
Yeah, there's just certain required workshops, training, kinds of things that they require for club executives to gain UMSU recognition that then opens doors for funding. My experience working with, as the president and executive on different clubs and working with the other executives on those clubs is that they required us to take this training and then they were disorganized and it didn't happen on time, or they asked that we, I mean, again, this is something I'm getting secondhand, but they would ask that the treasurer do a quiz on the training without actually giving them the content, and it was just kind of a formality. Whereas if they had done it properly, that would have been a fantastic resource for us to get that treasurer training.
Well, one thing that's a big concern I'm a first-year student, and UMSU is not having there's not really a positive relationship right now with first-year students that much. And I think it has to do with a lot of the security concerns that have been this year. And while there's a lot of things that cannot be done to avoid those, and they're out of the control of the university, the UMSU needs to better lobby for communication between the university and students to be more quick and efficient. We literally just came from the Drake Center right now when right now a bunch of fire alarms are going off there and all the doors just shut, and we don't know what's going on, and we probably won't figure out.
You had a class there that was canceled, or you were just walking past there?
Around there, yeah. We were boothing for an event, and I'm not sure with the other security concerns that have been happening, we didn't really know. We didn't get official statements from the university, and if UMSU can do anything about that, that would greatly improve relations with.
I think eventually the university did put out on their website and through emails they did put out like a formal statement. But I do understand that it wasn't like within seconds. Like it wasn't. Yeah.
It would just like if it would be more streamlined, everybody would love that. I know I would love that.
I am a student of the union.
Okay. And so we're asking students, what are their thoughts on UMSU? There's an UMSU election upcoming from March 6th to March 7th, and we want to know what would students like to see done the same or done differently with the new board of directors of UMSU?
I think UMSU needs to be defunded completely.
I think that UMSU's fine right now. I don't really I don't really know much about like what these people do or like what their, I don't know, for like any position. I couldn't tell you what these people like job descriptions are or what they do. So maybe a little more transparency about like what everybody's doing and maybe more initiatives to, like, I don't know, raise awareness for like what your job is. You said they were making like 40 grand a year. It's a lot of money. Up to, right?
Some of these executives do get over 35 grand a year because as a member of the union, you do pay a union fee, which is it's about $273.80. So some of these positions are salaried, some of them aren't. A large part, though, is volunteer work.
Yeah. So if I think more transparency about what people are actually doing and how they're helping us, that'd be great.